What is up, everybody? Just Joji here, finally back at you with another Amazon FBA sales video. So, for those of you who don't know, I'm just Joji. I'm on the path of financial independence with my fiance Maya, and we're both teachers, and we have some side hustles. One of my side hustles is Amazon FBA. I guess I should call it my main side hustle because it definitely brings in the most money compared to Merge My Amazon. I was going to do this daily sales video, but I went back to teaching, got super busy, and yeah, that just didn't happen. So I have a little bit of time. It's 9 p.m. on a Wednesday, so I felt like it'd be a good time to do it because I do have a little bit of time to do it. So today we sold a total of 32 units for $3,000, which is just absolutely insane to me. So let's go ahead and look at our orders for today. I'm going to go to the first order of the day, which is going to be on page 2 here. And I'm sure that you can see if you're new to the channel that I do sell on Amazon FBA and that I mainly sell textbooks because, well, a number of reasons. I used to sell a whole bunch of random stuff, video games, just anything that was sealed, but I niched down, focused just on textbooks because they're just so much better in so many aspects. Like, you don't have to worry about testing them. You don't have to worry about like cleaning them. You don't have to take pictures of them. They're easy to sell. They're easy to handle. They're easy to ship. There's just like so many. And on top of that, they also sell for considerably more money if you find the right one. That's why I've decided to niche down and sell textbooks. I'm rambling, so let's go ahead and get on with what sold today. So in the morning at 2:48 a.m., somebody was up super early. Maybe they got their coffee. I sold Wong's Essentials of Pediatric Nursing for $75. This is a book that I look out for a lot, and I see quite a bit actually. And I usually try to pick up this book for around $10 to $20. I feel more comfortable if I pick it up for 10 to 15 because normally it sells in this $50 to $60 range. As you can see, that's actually the buy box right now, $50, which is crazy that I sold mine for 75. So I'm not sure if, what happened here, if maybe this person wasn't on the listing, eCampus. Maybe they weren't on the listing earlier in the day, but in any case, sold that for 75, which is really good considering that the new price is sold at $82. So yeah, there he goes. Now, like I try to spend between 10 to 20 bucks for this book, but I'm assuming I probably spent around $15 on this book. Okay, next was at 338, Theory and Practice of Group Counseling, sold for $175, which is just an absolutely crazy price to get for this. And it's kind of weird actually if you look at it that the new price right now is 150 bucks. And let's see, is this potentially without Prime shipping? So I'm not sure if this is actually Prime eligible, but um, yeah, I sold mine for $175. You can see that the new price here, Merchant Fulfill, kind of is wild and goes crazy, but I sold mine for $175, which is a pretty good price to get for that book, considering that's about like $30 over the used price at its highest peak in the last 3 months. So I'll take that. I paid around $40 for this book, so 40 bucks into 175. That 175 after fees is probably going to be around like 130 would be my guess. So 50 into 130, that's a really good profit, good turnaround. Next is Exploring Electronic Health Records. That sold at 6:26 a.m. It sold for $120. Notice that this also comes with an access code, and I never sell books and claim that they have access codes, even if they do come with them, because sometimes they're out of date, they don't work, they've been used already. So even if I get the book with the access code, and even if it looks sealed, I just say it doesn't come with it. And so in my condition notes, I just say does not include access codes and any other like supplemental materials just to make sure that I cover myself. So essentially, I'm selling the book only. But what you can see here is I sold this book for $119, and currently the buy box is $114. So I guess that's a good price to get, a little bit more than what the current buy box is. And you can see that's a really high price to get considering that the used price of this book over the last 3 months is around like $70 to $80. But I guess it just shows you the power of textbook season. But yeah, this is what I would call a really healthy book, meaning its price is, pretty set in stone throughout the year. Like it doesn't really change much. And so this is a book that, you'd probably be pretty confident spending $20 to $30 on because you know that it's unlikely that at least in the immediate future it's going to drop in price. So yeah. I can't imagine I spend more than 20 to I would say I probably wouldn't have spent more than $25 on this book. I don't remember exactly how much I spent on it, but next we have this chemical review manual sold at 7:01 a.m. for $99.94. You can see the buy box is $100, so I mean that's still a pretty good price to get for this book. You can see that the Amazon new price changes, pretty drastically. It just went super high to 240 for who knows what reason. Who knows what Amazon's doing these days. But you can see that the use price, the lowest use price, at least merchant fulfilled, or I guess it doesn't necessarily need to be merchant fulfilled, but usually it is merchant fulfilled. In this last 3 months is around 60 to $70. So to get $100 for it prime is a pretty good price to get for that book. I think I spent $30 on that book if I remember right. So not amazing profit on that book, but still would have doubled my money because after fees, this is probably, if I were to guess, around like $70, like 70 to 75. All right, so next we sold Pearson Surgical Technology Exam Review, $84. You can see that the buy box is around $85. So again, the lowest used merch is $53. So I mean, I'm selling them considerably more than what merchant fulfill it is. And even if you look at what you could have bought this book for in November, December, around like $35. I mean, that's a pretty good price to get for that sort of book. Now, when I was buying this book, I guarantee you that it having a price kind of this low, $40 throughout its history, I would be inclined to offer someone, probably no more than $15 for this book. So that's what I would guess what I would have paid for this book. But really good price to get $84. Next, we have Casebook for Clinical Supervision. That's sold for $52, so a little bit lower price book. I'm trying to increase the price of the products that I sell just because I found that why do more work for less profit? Why don't you just do less work for more profit and sell fewer products but sell them for more money? So my threshold, now going forward is trying to buy books that have a selling price north of even $60, but 50 I guess would still be acceptable. But in any case, you can see that holy cow, this book took a dive with a repricing war. So there's probably like 2 or 3 sellers like going to war over this, and that's why the price just you see these little steps as it goes down and down and down until it started selling again. But even though the used price is $23, I still sold mine for $52. So literally double the price. And that's just the power of Amazon Prime, right? That you can sell books in most cases for a lot more. Not always, but in many cases you can. All right, next up we have Arguing About Literature that sold at 7:51 a.m. for $94. That seems like a lot of money for a literature book, to be honest. I mean, that is a lot of money. Think about the new price was $96, and that is Amazon FBA, which is, yeah. So you can see that you could have bought this book new, not Amazon FBA, but merchant fulfilled for $84.92. So it does show you that it is possible to sell used books more more through Amazon FBA Prime rather than merchant fulfilled news. So that is a possibility. It doesn't happen very frequently, but it can happen. So I mean, it's a really good price to get on this book. So I mean, if you ever come across this book, I would definitely, be investing up to $25 for this book. I'm sure I bought this book for probably $20, maybe even less than that. All right. Now we need to go to the first page so we can see what these orders are here. All right. So Exploring Medical Language sold at 8:03 a.m. for $29, and this is actually a mistake buy. And the reason why this is a mistake buy is because this book has another listing where it is paired with a set of flashcards. And at the time of purchasing this, I thought it came with the flashcards, but apparently it didn't. And so the book only sells for considerably less. Now, if you have the flashcards that go with the book, then this becomes like a $50 to $60 book. So I am pretty sure I paid $15 for this book all in with shipping and tax, but I'm really just gonna be breaking even here pretty much. So yeah, that was a mistake buy. They do happen. Although I will say that I'm getting a lot better at buying books, so I very rarely do make mistakes, but that was one of them. And that's the way you should set up your business is that even when you do make mistakes, it doesn't cost you money. Maybe you just break even or lose a little bit. So, no worries. I'll move on, make $1 or $2 probably, or maybe make $0. I don't know, but lesson learned. Okay, so next was We the People. This is a pretty good book to look out for. There's a lot of different versions of this 12th edition. They have different sorts of like color patterns on them, but this was the loose leaf for this version. And this sold for what, $69.70, 69.77, and you can see the buy box right now is $71. So I mean, yeah, I mean, it's still a good price to get for the book. Now, usually I like to pay, between $15 to $20 for We the People. I have noticed that their price has been decreasing a little bit recently. As you can, I mean, this one's, staying pretty healthy still, but yeah, I'm probably into this about 15 bucks, maybe, plus like $3.50 shipping. So it's still a pretty good flip. I'm not making a ton of money, but I'm definitely making over 100% ROI. All right, next it sold at 8:54 a.m. General Organic and Biological Chemistry sold for $164. Now you can see that's pretty much the buy box right now, and to buy this brand new on Amazon Prime is $180. Okay. Um, Pretty good price to get for this book, considering that its used price is, as low as $130. So getting 30-ish more dollars for it is a, pretty good thing. Now notice last August and September, the last textbook season, the used price got up to 190. I'd say really 180 because technically the new price is about 170 in there. But I could have held this out until August and September. But think about it from a business perspective. It's like, would I want to hold on to it for another 6 months to maybe sell it for $20 more and get 183? Or should I just sell it now and take that money and just reinvest it and buy more products and just continually moving my unit? So sometimes I choose not to shoot for the moon, not to hold out, but instead just to flip it for a little bit less money, knowing that I can take that money, reinvest it, and make more money than I would have if I just waited and let that sit there. Okay, so next book here sold at 918. It's Signing Naturally. It sold for $74. This is definitely a bolo for you. This is such a popular book, like it's everywhere. The units 1 through 12 and 7 through 12, and they have a CD in the back. So make sure they have two CDs that go in the back actually. So make sure that if you're listing it, you make note if it has the CDs or if it doesn't have the CDs. But this is a typical textbook season or a typical book that follows textbook season pattern in terms of its sales rank. You can see that it dips during this August, September, and January months. And yeah, this is a book that, in the off season usually gets around $30, $35, but then very easily shoots up to $60, $70. So I have a ton of copies, every textbook season, maybe around like 10 or so copies, and they usually always sell pretty well for about $70 to $75, which is about $10 to $15 cheaper than the new cost. All right, Special Education for All Teachers sold for $112. That's a really good price to get on this book, especially because if you look at the price of this book over um, the past year, you see that for a good 6 months, the price of this book was under 60 bucks. And again, that's the lowest used price. So Prime still could have been selling for a little bit more than that, but this is still a really, good price to get for the book, $118. Now, this would have scared me a little bit, honestly, when I was buying this book that it was so low in the recent past. So I wouldn't necessarily call this a healthy book because, its price lingers or has been around $30 to $40 for a few months. And so I can't imagine I'd spend more than $15, but probably more like 10 bucks for this book, not including shipping. Okay, 1008, we sold Statics and Mechanics Materials for $118. And you can see that the used buy box is $158 right now, which is kind of making me sad because that's probably the lowest prime offer right now, which means if I would have just held out and priced a little bit higher, I could have potentially sold it for 40 more dollars. But in any case, it goes back to like you don't always need to be shooting for the moon necessarily. I'm sure I spent less than $40 all in for this book. So, I mean, it's still a really good sale for, to get $118 for it. It's good to not like, break the bank for a student. And like I said, it's good to reinvest your money anyway. So, you know what happens? Sometimes you sell when you sell your book for a lot more than you could have potentially got for it. But at the same time, if you look at the used price in the last year, I mean, it's consistently around that $100 mark. So what can you expect to sell this book for? I'd say if the used price is $100, you could probably reasonably expect to sell for at least $125 Amazon Prime. So, I definitely did probably underprice it a little bit, but at the same time, I just wanted to get my money back so I can reinvest it back into the business. All right, I'm gonna go and skip around a little bit because I still have a lot of books to go through, and this video is gonna be super long already. So maybe let's just pick out a couple as we move up here. Um, let's go to this Human Anatomy, sold for $159.99 at 1 p.m. Again, a really good price to get for a book. I mean, $160. Now, I remember that I actually picked up both, or I picked up this copy as well as the other copy that sold today. Yeah, this one as well. Two of those copies sold today. I bought them locally on OfferUp for, I want to say $50 each. So I think it was $50 each. So I'm basically $100 all in for both of those books. They sold for combined $320. So I'm definitely going to be making over 100% ROI on those books. But this is another bolo. If you see that book, it's let's see, the ninth edition. Yeah, it's a really good book to sell. It's consistently going to be over $100, and you can see, in August and September, it's getting up there pretty high, 150, $160, and obviously the sales rank shoots down here. So you can see this is the January textbook season last year. There's a little textbook season in June for this book, and August, September, and again starting in January here. I mean, honestly, books like this that are really popular, it really doesn't matter if it's textbook season or not because, the sales rank in here is not amazing like it is in January or the other textbook seasons, but it's still like under 150K, which is a pretty good rank. It's selling every day, probably multiple copies a day. So good price to get for that book. This is a Ryan SKU. I think there's another one up here. Let's see. Yeah, there's two Ryan SKUs today. These are consignment books, so I make 18% of the after fees. So after fees, this is probably gonna be $80. So I'm making maybe like 12 or $13 off of that book for just letting a person sell restricted inventory on my account. Again, another one of these signing naturally books. Again, they're everywhere. Like you can find them probably in thrift stores around you, OfferUp around you. Um, Pick them up for 10, $15. They sell pretty easily for that, $75 range. Prime. Now, again, look how crazy of a book this is in terms of following the regular like textbook season. Like you see the used price always increasing in these kind of like upside down parabolas here, and the sales ranks, going down in these time periods as well. So, I mean, if you zoom in, it's pretty obvious to tell that the used price of this book always goes up in September and it always goes up in January. I mean, this is a prime example of a textbook that follows the textbook season. And so, if any of you out there want to do some online arbitrage, I mean, pick up a couple copies when it's 27, $25. Pick up a good, a couple very good copies. You could pretty realistically sell them for 75-ish dollars. The new price here is like 70, like high 70s, low 80s, but I would say conservatively you can sell it for that $75 range. I mean, you wouldn't be making a ton of money if you're buying this for like 25, $30, but I mean, this is a pretty for sure thing if you look, if you look at it based upon past history. But in any case, I like to pick these up for around 10 to $20 because I like to work at a little bit more margins, but I mean, that's an option if you want to do some online arbitrage. All right, let's see what else. Nothing else really exciting. Let's go and refresh the page to see if we sold anything else in the time of the making of this video. And no, unfortunately, we have not. So something else I did want to show you though was the total sales so far for January 2021. So for those of you who were watching my videos from the beginning of January, or maybe even in December, and you're watching me, package all these books and getting them into the warehouse, I had this what I thought was an aggressive goal of selling $20,000 in gross revenue, not profit, but gross revenue in the month of January, which would be by far the most that I've ever done in a single month. And honestly, I was blown away. The consistent work of buying books and sending them in really, um, yeah, really paid off. It was really insane. So what I'm going to show you is the year to date so far, which is the number of units ordered so far in 2021. So in the first 20 days of January, we sold 421 units for $37,900, which is an average sales price of 90 bucks. Hey, my average buy cost per book is a little bit under 30 bucks all in. So if the average sales price is $90, right, the average after fees of that is going to be a little bit over 60 bucks. So essentially, if my buy cost is a little bit under, on average, my buy cost is a little bit under 30, and my after fees is a little bit over 60 bucks, I'm essentially making, on average, a little bit more than 100% ROI. So even though this is a crazy number, don't think that's all profit because it is. This is gross revenue. This is far from what profit is going to be. After fees, I would say conservatively that this is, $25,000 in my pocket that's being sent back to me as a check. And of that $25,000, I would say conservatively only half of that would be profit. So we're looking at what, $12,000 of profit. And keep in mind that that $12,000 of profit, it's not like I made that all in January. Like a lot of these books that are selling are books that, I bought last year in October, September, November, December, and sent them in, and they were there in inventory and they're just now selling. So while it does seem like a crazy amount to be making at one time, it's not necessarily like I'm just making it this month. It's from just the consistent work of buying books, in my spare time and getting them shipped to the warehouse. We technically still have another third of January left. So I don't know what we're going to end with, but my goal was $20,000. We definitely shattered that, which again is just absolutely insane to me. But by no means is this profit, but it's still going to be a considerable side income um, profit for this month. I guarantee you that it's going to be more money than I make as a teacher in the month of January. I can guarantee you that. But in any case, that's what we got going on for Amazon FBA sales. You can see that the total balance for this check is going to be $22,000, which is just going to be absolutely insane. And what's going to happen with that money? Well, most of that is going to go into buying more books, just reinvesting back into the business. And some of it, very, very little of it, will go to living expenses because, as you know, or maybe if this is your first time on the channel, Maya and I are on the path of financial dependence. And so we save quite a bit of money. We don't really spend that much money. The two of us combined spend a little bit under like $3,000 a month, which maybe isn't, you know, that great at saving, meaning like, I mean, that's still quite a bit of money to be spending. But in any case, most of this is going to be reinvested. And I don't even know if I can buy that much worth of books, but if I could, that would definitely lead to massive profits. But anyways, in any case, I'll probably just take whatever is remaining, set some aside for taxes for sure, and also put some in index funds that will just grow over a long period of time and, inevitably just make us wealthy or help us reach fire. So in any case, if you like this content, if you like me going a little bit more in depth with the orders and showing you my thought process behind it, giving you some insight into it, just like the video in general, I'd really appreciate it if you hit that thumbs up button, that like button, and subscribe if you haven't already. But that's all I have for you today and tonight. So thank you so much, and I will see you on the next one. See you later.